Welcome, everybody. We're going to begin. My name is Jill Zippin, and I am chairwoman of Democratic Jewish Outreach Pennsylvania. Democratic Jewish Outreach Pennsylvania is a political action committee that supports candidates that best reflect Jewish and democratic values. We support candidates who are running for federal office in Pennsylvania. On behalf of the entire DJOP board, we want to thank you and celebrate with you. We want to thank you for the weekly phone banks. We did phone banks from July till November. We sent out over 11,000 postcards to Georgia voters, and we want to thank you for the donations, which allowed us to place ads in 10 newspapers and have over 1 million digital impressions across the state. Thank you as well for contributing to candidates' events and attending our educational forums. Because of you, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will be sworn in tomorrow. We have a round of applause for that. Because of you, we won the Senate and held the House. So thank you so much. We continue to need your support to do the work that we do. If you want to make a contribution tonight, there's a donation link in the chat box. You can go to djop.org to donate because the work continues. We will be having a Senate race to fill Toomey's seat, a governor's race, and of course, all of the congressional races in 22. Tonight is our thank you to you. We are thrilled to be able to have this event tonight and have Pennsylvania's own Michael Solomonov. We're going to have conversation and some cooking and some more conversation. So let's get started with Michael. I'm going to give you a brief bio before he begins. Chef Michael Solomonov is the executive chef and co-owner at Zahav, the 2019 James Beard Foundation's outstanding restaurant and that's a modern Israeli restaurant that brings the flavors of Israel and culture to Philadelphia. He's known for his extraordinary skill in transforming simple foods into culinary masterpieces. He's known as one of the country's top chefs and entrepreneurs. In addition to his duties at Zahav, he's a partner in Federal Donuts, Dizengoff, Goldie, and Abe Fisher. He's been widely recognized everywhere, from The Chew to the New York Times to Good Morning America to Nightline to Condé Nast and even more. Solomonov and the Israel Ministry of Tourism created a partnership to champion Israel's extraordinarily diverse and vibrant culinary landscape. He was featured in a documentary called In Search of Israeli Cuisine, and that film is now available on Netflix. You can go watch after this event is done. Currently, Michael has a new digital series which started last week. I believe the first episode was January 13th, called Bringing Israel Home, each Wednesday evening for 16 weeks. He will bring Israel's extraordinarily diverse and vibrant culinary landscape into people's homes. And he'll do interviews, there'll be cooking and feature cultural figures in Israel. It's really not to be missed. So you should watch that show every week. Solomonov frequently travels back to Israel. And also information about him, he's an avid snowboarder, surfer, and fitness fanatic. If you follow him on Instagram, you can see him surfing, even in the cold, I think. He was born in Israel, but raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So welcome, Michael.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for having me.
Great. So we're going to start out before the cooking with a little conversation. So I want to talk about how you became politically active. So you hosted Doug Emhoff, Kamala's husband, at an event at Zahav in the early fall. And what was your impetus to get involved with the Biden campaign? And was this your first time with political activism, or is it something you've always done?
I think that's a good question. And I think a lot of people, particularly this election, have asked themselves that, like, why is it why am I so involved now? And maybe I wasn't before. I think that part of it is probably maturity and responsibility. And then I don't, now that I have kids, it's like I can't, there's no way that I could look back on this and have to answer to my children if Trump got elected into office. It's that simple. And then also like we grew up with my parent, we grew up with like Jewish values that promote things that I feel like were necessary, and I couldn't just not put where my money where my mouth was. So I certainly have not been this politically active before. I think it's very important for people to know um, that chefs, that musicians, that whatever, we are invested in these decisions the most. I mean, especially, I mean, restaurants especially. We're talking about things like immigration. We're talking about things like the opioid pandemic. We're talking about equality in the workplace. I mean, those are things. Restaurants are like a petri dish of all these subjects, and we are affected the most by them.
Right. And because besides being a chef, you are a business owner and you're impacted by whatever happens in both Harrisburg and in Washington, D.C. And one of the ways that you've been impacted, unfortunately, is due to COVID and the poor response to COVID. Restaurants have really taken a hit, and you've been really wonderful to your employees. Billy Mag took notice, and I really want to give credit where credit is due. Can you tell us what you have done to protect your employees at your restaurants? Because I know you've done really great work in that regard.
Well, so it's thank you very much. I mean, it is not, gosh, like I don't know what we would have done differently. And it certainly isn't enough. I mean, there's millions and millions of restaurant employees that are, without work. And I also think as a small business owner, it's sort of like it's this juxtaposition between, I don't know, we're trying to like do the best we can and balance the needs of everybody with usually with like the business owners or the entrepreneurs like the last. What we did, so we shut down on March 16th with no guidance really from local or state or federal government. It was just like there's a pandemic happening, people shouldn't be gathering, and yet there's all these people in our restaurants. So 40 restaurateurs in Philly actually in the room next to this one of the private dining rooms at Zahav all came together and said before there was any announcement from government that we were going to shut down, which I can tell you is like it makes me want to cry right now because that being open and having customers is our livelihood. There was no bailout, there was no nothing, so we just decided for the sake of public health we would shut down. And then later that day we had to go around and we had 460 employees, and we had to let basically all of them go because we had no customers, right? So we started a fund, a disaster relief fund that and we raised $150,000. Part of which came from myself and my business partner Steve, but by selling gift cards with 100% of the proceeds going to all of our employees. And what was good about that was that we didn't have to wait for people to file for unemployment. It didn't impede upon their ability to collect unemployment. It was tax free, and also people that were like maybe the most vulnerable that didn't that would have a hard time with the bureaucratic system. This gave them cash like kind of immediately.
That's
So
that's fabulous. That's really great. I know, especially non-corporate, like non-big chain restaurants, really were hit. What would you like to see from the incoming Biden administration to help smaller non-corporate restaurants like your own throughout the country?
well, I mean that's a great question. It's something what we ask ourselves that all the time. I mean, I think that even big corporate restaurants too. I don't know if people quite understand that the way that restaurants operate. We operate on future business, right? So like for us, when we closed, everyone was like, the sort of court of public opinion was angry that we fired everybody to like save money. And I was like, our payroll is like $750,000 like every 2 weeks. We don't have that, So even big chains. I mean, I feel for all of them. I think that healthcare honestly, healthcare is like the biggest issue that we all have, and private health insurance is like so goddamn expensive. And I think that even we've had the luxury of doing actually is raising the minimum wage in our company, because we've like hired people back very carefully, and that has helped a lot. So I think that really, taking a look at our most vulnerable citizens, employees, people that are generally passed over, and looking at the needs of like those individuals and really basing our policies on that, I think is what we need to do. I mean, as a society, right, we should be measured by like the weakest link, right? And I think that especially right, well, especially the last 4 years, I think that was just not important, right? And
Right.
I can't stress enough the importance of immigration and inviting and celebrating and really helping immigrants become.
That was my next question for you. There's so many immigrants involved in all aspects from top to bottom of the restaurant industry. You come from a family of immigrants, actually. Immigrants are what make this country great, as you know. What would you like to see from a Biden administration with regard to immigration, and what would help you as a restaurateur in that regard?
Well, I mean, I think that it's actually happening right now. I think it was just announced. We have 11 million immigrants that are undocumented that have been living in this country that are sort of in limbo right now. That there's a plan or a bill passing, I believe, that was announced today, that in 8 years, there's a timeline of 8 years to make them American citizens. These are things that we need. This country does not work without immigrants. This is a land of immigrants, not to sound cliched. But I think that when you tell people that live in this country, that contribute, that are part of the community, that are like taxpayers, right? That create families and culture, and you tell them, you have an administration that tells them that they are not welcome, it has got to end. It has got to stop. This is not the values that we respect. These are not the things that we grew up with. This is not. This doesn't speak for us. So
Right. And as Jews, we believe in welcoming the stranger. And I agree. I hope this is one of the first pieces
like
of legislation that gets pushed forward because it makes us better as a society. And actually, it helps us economically. It will ultimately allow people to buy goods and services and eat in restaurants, which is fabulous. I have another question. Restaurants have had to innovate because of COVID. Can you talk about some of the innovations you've done and what things have you done that you'll think you'll carry forward even when COVID, God willing, one day comes to an end?
well, I want to answer that. I want to go back though too, and just sort of elaborate on the last question.
Sure, sure.
Really important. As Jews, we know what it's like to get pushed around, and we know what it's like to have to fight for independence and for solidarity with other members of this country. Like I don't want to contribute to that for any other population, right? And I think that like walking around with our guard up is something that we're accustomed to because we're potentially suspicious. We can't tell somebody else that deserves those rights that they aren't welcome as well. And as you said, yeah, crops don't get picked. No services happen without immigrants in this country. It doesn't work. Restaurants don't work. Service industry in general doesn't work. Agriculture doesn't work. This is something that we like have to have. Sorry.
No, that's okay. No, no, no. You're 100% correct. I want to talk a little bit about, a lot of restaurants that have been successful throughout this COVID period have really been able to be nimble and to innovate. So, can you talk about some of the innovations that you've done, and will you continue some of these innovations going forward? Like, what have you learned that's maybe made you a better restaurateur or a better business person from this as well?
So what we've done is, with the help of our partners at American Express, we built these yurts outside. So we have these amazing tents, and it's sort of allowed us to think really differently about the experience that we give, minimize the staff, but also increase the minimum wage for all of our employees. And actually, company wide, we've not eliminated tipping because we still accept tips, but we offer a service charge. So there's like an easier way to sort of allocate payment. It's not just servers getting paid like $3 an hour and then making a ton of cash tips, they have a really high hourly rate. And even our like dishwashers, our entry level cooks are also like elevated. So it's really allowed us to sort of restructure. And then also delivery, not in the way that everybody's thinking, like just do delivery and you'll pivot. That doesn't work for anybody unless you're already a delivery business. But we've started shipping lamb shoulders across the country,
Oh, wow.
belly, hummus, pita, salad gets overnighted like literally anywhere in the country, and we've been doing a ton of that, which has been cool. A lot of home cooking, which I know sounds ironic, but like after the second week of quarantine, I'd cooked more in my kitchen at home than in my life, and I was pretty impressed. I mean, I will say it was pretty delicious. Um, uh, and so we've been doing a lot of cooking demos and a lot of outreach. And actually, I think that even as it related to the campaign and election sort of awareness and fundraising, it was really, really useful.
Yeah, I know at the event you had for Doug Emhoff, who will be our first second man and first Jewish second person. I think I got that all right. You gave away hummus and donuts, and it was, I have to say, we came home and we like sort of gorged on the hummus and donuts for dinner. For all of you who didn't make it to that event, it was really delicious. So I hear you. Why don't we start the cooking? And I'm going to go to some more questions. Why don't you tell us, first of all, where you're at Zahav? So,
So right now we're in the private room of Zahav. What I'm going to probably do, if we get a chance, is take you over to the kitchen at the end of this, so you can see the people that are impacted the most by this. Entry level workers, amazing, amazing immigrant population, and people that have been like pinballed around this sort of system that all really stepped up and came out. And as you probably remember, that lunch that we had Doug Emhoff here as well. My line cooks could not stop smiling. I mean, everybody was so excited. They were so invested in this campaign. So yeah, but we're in the private room of Zahav right now. There's nobody here, which is why I'm not wearing a mask. I almost like I went out to like ask for somebody to grab me a cup of coffee, and I was like, this is the first time I haven't worn a mask in the restaurant in like. So I feel a little bit naked. Also wearing the patent apron right now, which I was telling everybody prior. I got to serve Chris Christie dinner in this apron,
which is fabulous.
which
Which is fabulous.
my life. Yeah, so we're gonna make a little bit. It's very, very simple. We're making our tahina sauce, which is sort of like the mother sauce that we use here. We use it for everything, and then with that, we'll add some herbs to it. We're gonna make a little bit of hummus, and you guys should have no problem. You could open your own Israeli restaurants. Great time to open a restaurant, let me tell you.
And as you're cooking, I'm going to ask you just some questions too, but I'll let you get started before I start. I think a lot of people got the ingredients and they're going to try to cook along with you.
Good.
I have the ingredients, but I'm not going to try to cook along with you because even virtually via Zoom, I'd probably give somebody food poisoning. But
we're going to send you some chicken and some donuts and some chicken and some hummus. So don't even worry about it.
So what should everyone get out first?
Okay, so what we're gonna do, guys, I'm gonna show you how to make our tahina sauce in a bowl, just because I think if you don't wanna make hummus, it's easy to make. It acts as a salad dressing, a spread. We were talking about cold schnitzel with tahina on sandwiches, really, really good. I just wanna show you how to make this without it. And then we'll put a little bit of tahina in the food processor and we'll make hummus, okay? So we need a little bit of garlic. All right, I have 1 clove of garlic right here. I'm just gonna mince this up.
You know, if I did that, I would lose a finger. It's lucky I'm married to a doctor. He'd have to sew it on before we got to the emergency room.
I've definitely cut my finger almost off plenty. You know, you practice, right? That's how you learn. So we just mince this up really, really finely. And then what we're gonna do, you can actually add a little bit of salt when you're mincing garlic and onions, and that will turn it sort of granular. That helps it out. Now,
does that affect the flavor of it at all when you're doing that?
We're going to be adding salt anyways, and I actually think that adding salt in layers to like every part of cooking is of the utmost importance. That you progressively season, right? So it's not just like making a soup and adding a ton of salt at the end. You add salt to the onions, to the garlic, to the carrot in small amounts. You build flavor. So we're going to throw this in here, and then we're going to add our lemon juice um, right on top of that garlic. And what that's going to do is actually like mellow the garlic. This sort of idea that like all Middle Eastern food should be like this garlic bomb is incorrect. And hummus in particular, Israeli and Palestinian hummus is really like nutty. It's really, really like rich, and it's really it doesn't taste like Caesar salad dressing, which is like what a lot of the refrigerated at the grocery store tastes like. So
Or is hummus different in different regions?
oh
Like,
yeah,
if you're in a different part of the Middle East, like, would Israeli hummus be different than like Syrian hummus or Palestinian hummus or, that kind of.
Israeli and Palestinian hummus is like similar. I mean, I think it like it changes. It's very regional, and even like depending on where you are in Israel, it kind of changes. But I find that the relationship between the trina and the chickpeas is kind of the most important thing. Like I like, and most Israeli hummus is like really, really rich. It's like tons of trina, And if you go to like Greece or you go to like Turkey, it's more about the chickpeas and the lemon and the garlic, and it's like enriched with a little bit of tahina. Whereas I feel like, and we like it like Israelis like it kind of like warm, and it's really sort of luscious. Um,
Right, much better than the refrigerated kind, which is cold.
I'm not just trying to sell a product to you guys. You're gonna make this. And we're making a very easy recipe with canned chickpeas. So it's not even like highly sophisticated. It's not bougie. This takes 5 minutes, start to finish. And I think you're gonna like it. Okay, so we've got our garlic that we treated with a little bit of salt, and it's sort of like cooking here a little bit with our lemon juice, right? So now what we're gonna do is take our jar of trina, which I'm using Soom brand, which you guys can get off Amazon. It's so good. It's three sisters. Two live in Philly, one lives in Israel. They get the seeds, the sesame seeds from Ethiopia, process them in Nazareth, and distribute out of Philly.
Oh my God. Okay. Wow.
And what I'm going to do is actually take the whole jar and kind of dump it in there, and then what I like to do is actually just take water and put it into the jar, because trina can be like really, really like it can be, it doesn't look totally edible even, right? It's kind of
Right, thick. Yeah.
do is actually just add cold water about halfway up in the jar.
And is that Philly water or like bottled water?
Philly water, right? Water, which is like right. So
Right, right.
that's how we won. That's how we won. That's how we saved democracy. Was the Philly water.
But Philly water, right, right, right. Oh my God.
Shake it up a little bit, and we're gonna dump it in here. We're gonna add a little bit more salt and a little bit more tahina as well. Or excuse me, salt and a little bit of cumin. All right. Now you're probably wondering why I'm adding water, and I will tell you, if you've ever made hummus in a food processor, you like add the chickpeas, you add the tahina, you add the garlic and the lemon, and you run it, and it turns into like peanut butter. And then you have to add more lemon, and then maybe a little bit of water. What we want to do is start with like a really, really amazing whipped, light, creamy tahina, which we're going to turn into green tahina. It can be made with sauce, can be turned into salad dressing, and with that, you make this fantastic hummus. Okay, so good trina makes very good hummus, and it's as simple as that. So we've got this sort of like sludgy situation right here. We're going to just start whisking it up. All
Now,
right.
can you have hummus with every meal, with breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Do people eat it for breakfast?
People, oh my God, yeah, that's how you actually should eat it. Yeah, hummus and hummus full with like the hot fava beans. Yeah, it's very, very often eaten for breakfast warm. It's super good, super good at like 6 o'clock or 7 in the morning. Yeah, it's wonderful.
And so, and one of our board members had a question. What's the best cocktail to have with hummus? What do you recommend if you're having, and you can have that cocktail at breakfast, We're in COVID. You can drink anytime.
I know. I mean, I would say like I don't drink, but I would say like beer probably makes the most. I would do like a beer situation, or I would do maybe like a fizz kind of, I feel like something maybe a little bit effervescent would be good to help sort of cut the richness. What is the honey beer? It's like mead. That would also be very good. I think mead would be good. So I'm just sort of mixing this around right now. And we're gonna get to a place where it looks pretty awesome. This was the trina itself was pretty cold, so it's gonna take a little bit of time just to kind of break up. I'm just gonna mix it. This is sort of boring. Do you have any exciting questions for me while I mix trina?
Yeah, so, what is your favorite flavored donut since you own a donut shop?
I think the hot cinnamon sugar is sort of unbeatable. We used to have sort of underground flavor that was called Apollonia that has got cocoa powder with sugar and orange blossom and clove. That was like really good. And every now and then, if you ask somebody at the stores, they will have it. So that's really really good. But yeah, I think hot cinnamon sugar is like, how do you beat that? I don't.
Right, that sounds delicious. Do you routinely change the flavors of the donuts?
We do, yeah, we do. I mean, we've got some staples that kind of always stick around, but our chef, Chef Matt Fine is a genius. He's a donut savant, and he's like always sort of whipping up new stuff, which is good. And as my job, I have to eat donuts all the time. Rough life I live. All right, so look, guys, it's looking a little bit like it's still a little bit lumpy. You can see it's a little tacky, but it's become really pale and fluffy. We're gonna add a little bit more water to that, and we're gonna get it to a place that is.
Somebody in the chat box said, how much salt do you think you added to this? Like if you had a,
I would say I probably would start with like a teaspoon or so, or 2 teaspoons, and then like I said though, you have to taste over and over again. You have to add salt sort of incrementally. I would say start with a teaspoon, and then kind of give it another shot of lemon or maybe more salt at the end. But yeah, I would say about that. And then when we add the garbanzo beans, we'll probably do a little bit more too. All right, so now this is becoming really, really nice and smooth. Now, as I said before, guys, you can do this with a food processor. It'll take a second, but if you don't want to get out all the equipment and figure out where like one of the blades is that like activates the whole thing, you can just kind of whip this up, which is pretty awesome. Look at this. You guys see that? Smooth. It looks
yeah,
like cream, right? Really, really good. Now this, guys, will stay because it's not a ton of garlic. It's not even a ton of lemon. This will stay in your fridge for like 2 weeks. All right. And with you can add the avocado, the dill, if you want to make like the green goddess dressing. If you want to fry the schnitzel and then use this as a spread, no problem. If you want to just dip with this, or like I do tortillas and like whatever, like guacamole, it's so good. But let's give this a little taste.
so we had a question is, how do you serve it warm? Do you like heat it after you put it in the food processor, or what do you do?
I'm going to show you right now what we're going to do. So what I like to do is, and what we do at Zahav, because we make hummus throughout the day, is we actually use the motor from the food processor to warm it up,
Oh, interesting.
which is awesome. So let's take about half of this out, and we're going to add this to our food processor. We're going to add our garbanzo beans. And we did this recipe. We have the original, the Zahav cookbook recipe for our hummus is the one that we use at the restaurant. And then we wrote another book called Israeli Soul. And we wanted to do this 5-minute hummus because it was like after we had a bunch of kids, my partner and I, my business partner and I, he's got 4, I've got 2. And we're like, we don't have a ton of time for this. We don't have a time, like we can't like cook the chickpeas, rest the chickpeas, so on and so forth. And I want one piece of equipment to clean, So we came up with this very fast hummus recipe. So we're going to add our garbanzo beans to that. All right. And then we're going to add a little bit more ice water. And as I said, we're going to add our salt and our cumin just in batches. All right. No more lemon juice though. And we're not going to add olive oil. I know a lot of people like to add olive oil, but we just garnish with olive oil.
Why don't you add the olive oil? Is there a reason?
Because tahina is like all, it's like fat. We don't need it. And I think it's just going to get diluted when you're tasting it. So why not just wait and sort of garnish with a ton of olive oil at the end? That, like when you get fresh hummus and you have fresh pita and you have to go through that little pool of olive oil to like hit the hummus, there's nothing more satisfying than that. So listen, guys, what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to let this run for 1 second, and by 1 second, I mean 1 minute in the food processor. It's going to be a bit loud. While that's happening, I'm going to take my chives and parsley, and I'm going to add it to the remainder of our tahina. So we're going to make this herbed green tahina that could be a fantastic dip, or it's going to garnish the hummus. So if you guys are at home, let's start buzzing that up. I'm just going to go offline for like 30 seconds, or I'm not going to talk for 30 seconds to let this run. All right?
It's okay.
Okay.
And I'm just going to let everyone know if you have questions, please put them in the chat box and we will be able to, about anything you want, whether it's cooking, these recipes, his cookbook, the TV show, Joe Biden, tomorrow's inauguration, DJOP. We're more than happy. While he has the food processor running, I again want to thank all of you for being here because we couldn't do what we do without you. And we're very happy to provide you with free events like this. But if you want to support us, we would so appreciate it. There's so many political races coming up. I know it feels like this one just ended, but as soon as one ends, another one starts. So we want to replace Toomey with a Democrat, and we would like to replace Wolf with another Democratic governor. So please support us at dgop.org. Howard will put it in the chat again. We do need your financial support. Any amount you can give would be appreciated. I know I sound like PBS and I should be giving you a tote bag, but we really do need your support. So thank you, everyone, again for being here. And is that food processor still running?
It's off.
It's off. Yay. Okay. I can stop my pitch. Okay.
I was like, wait, I don't get a tote bag? What's going on here?
I can make one specially for you.
Thank you. No, I think that organizing amongst our community members is like the way that we're going to do this. So, yeah, we are happy to be involved. Anything we can do moving forward. I mean, donuts. Like we were handing out donuts and bowls of hummus for people waiting in line. I feel like it's amazing what a hot fresh donut can do. The way it can.
Oh my God, my husband ate it in the car after that hop event. He was shoving it in his mouth as we were driving home. They were so good.
Okay, so we've got our little bit of like herbed tahina over here. Now I'm gonna add a touch more water. Okay, and you can see it's this sort of like, now this is gonna be, we're gonna use this as a sauce, okay? But you can take this and add like a ton more lettuce if you want, a ton more chives, and it turns into this sort of like dressing, which is awesome. But this with grilled chicken or roast lamb or even like barbecued eggplant, and this is delicious. We've got our hummus right here, which is looking pretty good. Let's give it a little taste. All right. Voila.
That looks fabulous.
Easy, right? Okay.
Yeah, well, for you, and probably the other people who can cook on this Zoom, not for me. But I'm really happy to watch you make it, and I'm really even happier to eat it. I wish we had like Eat a Vision or something.
Well, for the next event, maybe we'll ship out some hummus to everybody. All right, so we've got our this. We're gonna just do a fancy little swoosh. Okay, sing a little song. Voila. All right, we're gonna put a little bit of our herb tahina right on top. Boom. Okay, and then we're gonna just do, as I said, a ton of olive oil on top of that, and we are ready to go.
That look.
Boom.
Delish.
Easy.
Doesn't everybody on the Zoom wish they could be there eating it right now?
You guys are making it at home, and this is recorded as well, so you can do it. You can also probably find this recipe online. It's super easy, and if not, I'll give you my agent's cell phone number, and you can call him whenever you want.
Is this recipe in your cookbook?
This recipe is an Israeli soul, and it is called the 5 minute hummus, and I actually made it with my hand taped to my head in 3.5 minutes. I made it one handed in 3.5 minutes. So you guys can make it 5 minutes, and it's like I said, it's one piece of equipment that you have to clean up. So you're obviously very busy. We've got kids running around. We've got inaugurations. Like we got all types of stuff. Need to spend all day making really good hummus, and this is like without citric acid, without going to the supermarket, and without all the other nonsense. You can make this yourselves really quickly.
That's fabulous. I know there's some questions in the chat box and there's some other questions. So I'm going to ask, what is your favorite item on the Zahav menu? If you have never, so if this is your first time eating at the restaurant, what would you tell somebody to order? What's your favorite thing?
Oh God, I mean, I'm definitely partial to the hummus. I think that the lamb shoulder is really amazing. We take a lamb shoulder and we cure it and we smoke it and we confit it like in schmaltz, and then we crisp it and then we glaze it with pomegranate molasses. That's
Ooh, I haven't heard the word schmaltz in a while. That sounds really, really good. What is your favorite restaurant in Israel? A lot of people on the Zoom travel to Israel, and I know there's so many good ones. But if you had to say to someone, if you go to Israel, this is where you should eat, what would you say?
that is really difficult. I think that my favorite there's a couple different categories of favorite. I would say that the ones that you have to get to. There's a restaurant called Doc, DOK, which is in Tel Aviv, and 100% of the product that they like cook with is from Israel. It's like amazing. And like you're sitting there and you ask for coffee, we don't have coffee. You ask for tea, they say sure we have tea, and then they point to like a flower pot and they're like that's the tea. So I think that restaurant is super cool. There's a place called Yitzi Kargadol, which is like Big Isaac's, and that's in Jaffa, and that's like a great kind of Israeli barbecue place. And then there is my favorite falafel, which is in a town called Karkur, called Falafel Deborah, like Deborah's falafel, and that is like unbeatable. But
Wow.
I mean, there isn't. It's I don't know. It's hard to find bad food there. Quite
And
honestly.
that's true. The great thing about Zahav is you can eat all vegetarian at Zahav too. So no matter what your sort of predilection for food, and if you're kosher and want to eat vegetarian, you can, which is fabulous. Someone wanted to know, are you going to open anything up on the main line in Pennsylvania?
Hmm. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, actually, I love like I think the main line is amazing. I grew up. I was born in Israel, but I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and the way that like Pittsburgh, I grew up in Squirrel Hill, which is like outside of downtown, but not very far. It reminds me a bit of here as well, like in Center City to get to like beautiful sort of not country, not rural, but like the main line, which is like gorgeous sort of pastoral suburban, is 15 minutes away. So I love the main line. I don't know. We have 16 restaurants right now. I don't know. Like, I don't think we're gonna open anything.
Do you have any out of state? Where are the?
No, it's all in Philly. We had a project in New York. We had a project in Miami, which we don't anymore. But we did. We consulted on a Galat kosher restaurant in Bala Cynwyd called Citron and Rose, and
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was
familiar. Yeah.
I don't know, maybe,
Do you
maybe.
have anything in Pittsburgh or no?
No, 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 no. I don't. But I wish. It's so
Yeah.
funny because when I grew up there, Pittsburgh was like not cool. And now when I go back, I'm like, man, this place is amazing. It's affordable. It's so beautiful. And there's wonderful food in Pittsburgh. And it's not just Minio's and Aiello's. Those are the two like pizza places in Squirrel Hill. Like amazing Asian restaurants in Squirrel Hill, like on Murray Avenue or Forbes or wherever. And I always go to a place called Pamela's that has the best pancakes I've ever had ever. When this is over, this pandemic, I'm gonna get in my car and drive 5.5 hours to eat Pamela's pancakes. They
Oh
are
my gosh. Okay.
all good.
Okay. So you live in Philly and you grew up in Pittsburgh. Steelers or Eagles?
There's no correct answer for that. I will say, well, it's hard to live in Philly and not be an Eagles fan. Um, and but I did grow up like I went to my bar mitzvah was at Three Rivers Stadium,
Oh,
so
really?
yeah, I don't know. I was more of a baseball person growing up, but I was here when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, and that was like, you know, that kind of changes it stuff like forever.
Right, right. Someone said, "What's your favorite fall vegetarian dish at the hub?"
Oh, fall vegetarian dish. So actually, we have a recipe for this in the Zahav cookbook, but we make this like broth, which we take butternut squash or pumpkin skins and burned onions, and we like make this vegan broth that we cook with garbanzo beans, chunks and of like pumpkin or squash, and then also fideos, which are a noodle, like a vermicelli that was actually medieval, like Sephardic. So it's this pumpkin fideo stew that's like super good. And
Wow.
it's not fancy or anything like that. And it takes a little time to make this broth, but it's like unbelievable. It tastes really meaty, but it's totally vegan. Really, really good.
Someone asked in the chat if they don't live in Pennsylvania, but they want to order like a Zahab specialty or a Goldie specialty. Is there a way to do that?
Yeah, so actually gold so the company is called Gold Belly. They can ship that you can get a Zahav meal basically anywhere in the country, like 24 hours. You know, it's like overnight shipping.
Oh, wow. Um, could you talk a little bit about your new web series and what that's all about, and like what when we tune in, what we're going to see and learn and hear about?
Yeah, I mean, so it's called Bringing Israel Home, and it was, you know, this sort of catalyst for this reaction for being stuck in home. I couldn't travel. I couldn't go like see my family. I couldn't, I lead a culinary tour once a year, and usually I go with like my sons for a couple weeks in August as well. And I just got really homesick, and I wanted to keep people connected. And so I called a bunch of friends and artists and chefs and musicians and journalists, and I was like, "Gotta interview you, and I want to cook live in my house after." So every Wednesday at 8 p.m. you can watch an interview with somebody that's fascinating and interesting and will make you want to give them big hugs, even without masks. And certainly people that you're going to want to see when you finally get back over to Israel. But in the meantime, we have a great interview, and then we go live to my kitchen, and it's like interactive. People can chat, ask questions while we cook. We send out the recipes and the ingredient list before, so people can like stock up and we can cook together. And we started it last week. It debuted, and we have another 15 weeks.
Oh, wow. And you said you lead culinary tours. How can we get on this culinary tour? Who do you do it through, or is it just through yourself?
So you can reach out to the restaurant. You guys can email the restaurant, and I partner with one of my really good friends who actually makes appearances almost every week on the show. His name is Avichai Sabari, and his company is Via Sabra, Viasabra, and he is a really good friend, but knows the country like the back of his hand. Was a sommelier, so he like loves food and wine. But yeah, so you guys can reach out to him, or you can come on one of our trips, which are pretty amazing. You have to start fasting right now though, because it's a lot.
And that show, it's a streaming. Is it streamed?
Yeah, it's on Vimeo, but if you go to, you just go to, on Instagram, go to at Bringing Israel Home, and you can find the link and join me. But yeah, it's going to be great. You can Google Bringing Israel Home, Vimeo, and it'll direct you right there as well.
Now, I know you said Chris Christie came into your restaurant, which I think is kind of funny while you were wearing the pins. But is there someone that you would like to cook for that you haven't, that you think it would be like the greatest person to cook for?
Well, I'm not just saying this because it's us guys, but when Doug was here, Doug Emhoff, I gave him a copy of the Zahav cookbook, and I wrote to Doug, Kamala deserves a ton of hummus. And I heard that he gave it to Kamala for her birthday.
Oh, that's so nice.
So I would love to obviously have, and actually, soon to be President Biden has eaten federal donuts before, apparently. So I think I'd love to get them at Zahav. I think it would make a lot of sense.
That would be fun. Can I come?
You'll make the hummus. Tonight, right?
Oh my gosh. So you said you were going to walk around to where some of your staff are. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, let's go. Now, I normally sort of hate when people do this, so I'm going to walk through the restaurant. So if you get like seasick, just kind of look away. But I wanted to see if we can get a fresh shot of laffa, the pita coming out of like our oven.
Oh, that's fabulous.
And I want to show you our fantastic staff. Wait, I got to get my mask on before I get, you know, attacked here. Okay. All right, little selfless promotion here.
I was going to say you have a Zahav mess.
Yep. All right. Are you guys with me here?
Yep, we're with you.
All right. Say hi.
Hey, hi.
All right. Let's see here. Hey, Chef Ian, can you make a little laffa for us? All right. Matilda, can you say hi?
Hello.
Hi.
Say hi.
Hello.
Okay, good. This is Ian. He's our sous chef. There's Chelsea behind him. Hang on, I'm going to come around. Do, 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 do.
This is a real behind the scenes tour. Hello. Like the hat.
Yeah, you like the hat? You see that?
Yeah.
All right, so just so you know too, we passed two people. We passed a Turkish immigrant, a Croatian immigrant, a Russian immigrant, Mexican, Guatemalan. Okay, restaurants are the American dream. Like we have to keep this alive. Guys, say hi to everybody.
Hi.
All right, say hi. This is all. We cook everything on charcoal at Sahal, and then Chef Ian's making a little laffa. Chef, can you throw one in?
Sure. You got it.
Okay. Check this out. This is the coolest thing ever. So the pita that we make is actually called laffa, which is almost like naan. And the Iraqi immigrants to Israel brought it in the early 50s. So it's so, so good.
Is there anything special about the dough, like that makes it different?
No, so what we do basically, so you don't roll it and you don't stretch it like a pita, you kind of wrap it. See that? So no, we let this rise overnight, so it actually gets a little sour, which is not typical for most Middle Eastern breads. This is really cool. You kind of slap it down and then watch. A little Price is Right music.
Yeah.
So this is our this is what we got going, and what I'm going to take you guys outside. I'll show you the yurts.
Okay, that would be great.
I don't know if my connection will make it, but we'll see. So Chef Ian, is it ready to go? There we go. And that is it. That's our laffa bread. So we just make, you know, there it is. Yeah, we make a ton of those. He'll make like 100 of them or more a night. And that's kind of how everybody here starts. This is our chef de cuisine, Chelsea.
Hi, nice to see you.
Too, beautiful mask, right?
Yeah.
You guys met when you were here. Let's see if we can take this party outside, and we'll see these yurts.
So this is an outdoor patio, correct?
Yeah, this is our outdoor patio. These are stickers that we sort of decals that we put all over the windows that are. This is like Nevet Tzedek in Tel Aviv with orange trees. This is Alpha back here, and this is our yurt village.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty amazing, actually. I kind of don't want to stop doing this, but these are all heated yurts that are open. The main opening, and then we have two side openings as well. And it seats 4 people. And instead of like choices, we literally just cook like, I think if you come and eat dinner here, you have 26 different things.
Oh my gosh.
So just you asked how we innovate. I think that what we've done is just say, like, listen, if you want to go out right now, this is what it will. This is what we're doing, and I think we built up enough goodwill where people kind of trust us now and do it. But you can come here and eat as a vegan, vegetarian, gluten free, and it doesn't feel like the chef has to make something special for you.
How many of those yurt things are there out there?
12 yurts here.
Oh wow!
So
And
that
is there a heat lamp in each of them? Yeah, I see. Yeah.
people that are wearing like t-shirts in them throughout the night too. It's really, really comfortable.
That is really cool. Do you
Yeah.
think it's something that you would keep even when COVID's gone, like next winter?
I would love to because I think it's like a blast. It's so much fun. Yeah, we have music playing. We have a local cat that lives in a townhouse over here that's an outdoor cat that comes in every single night to the yurts. I think we have her name's Blueberry.
That's appropriate for like a restaurant.
Blueberry, her own yurt, you know?
Oh wow, that's fabulous.
It's our restaurant, guys. I hope I'll see you guys here soon, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. We need to get to the yurts to eat. I wish I could. Unfortunately, I'm like an hour away, but it looks tempting to drive. So, well, I want to thank you again. I want to thank everybody on this call because this was done as a thank you to all of our donors and supporters and everybody who supported Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and thank God they will be sworn in tomorrow. And after the darkness, there's always light. And I believe we are entering a period of goodness and light, which calls for rejoicing and eating at the hub. So thank you to everybody. If you so desire, we would love a donation to continue our work, and definitely tune in to the streaming series. I know I will be tuning in, and I'm excited to eat at Zahav. So thank you, Michael, so much. Thank all of you for being here. I'll send out the recipe again to everybody, and I will send out information about his streaming series to you as well. I hope to get that to you tomorrow or the next day. But from the entire DJOP board, I would say all of our names, but there's 12 of us. So thank you, Michael. Thank you to the people who are on this call. And thank you, Joe and Kamala, for winning. So thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.